There's something magnificent happening right now at this very moment, and most people walk through their entire lives without ever noticing it. A thought just came into your mind, and then another one, and another. But where did these thoughts come from? Did you manufacture them? Did you sit down and create them from nothing? Or did they simply appear like a gift being handed to you from somewhere beyond your conscious control? You see, most of us believe that we are our thoughts. We believe that the constant chatter in our heads, that endless stream of mental activity, is who we are. But I want to tell you something that might change the way you see yourself forever. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices them. And when you truly understand this, when you really grasp what this means, your entire life will transform. Think about this for a moment. A thought appears in your consciousness. You didn't order it, you didn't request it, it just showed up. Now, if you didn't create it, if you didn't consciously manufacture it, then where did it come from? And more importantly, who sent it to you? I'm suggesting to you that every thought that enters your mind is a gift from the divine source, from what many people call God, from the universal intelligence that creates worlds and galaxies and keeps your heart beating without you having to think about it. When God gives a thought to you, it's not random, it's not accidental. It's part of a grand design, a magnificent plan that's unfolding perfectly in your life right now, even if you can't see it yet. Every single thought that enters your awareness is an opportunity. It's an invitation. It's a doorway to a new possibility, a new way of being, a new version of yourself that's waiting to emerge. But here's what happens to most people. A thought comes in, and immediately they judge it. They label it. They say, this is a good thought, or this is a bad thought. They say, I shouldn't be thinking this, or this thought doesn't make sense. And in doing so, they close the door. They reject the gift. They turn away from the divine message that was meant specifically for them. What if you could learn to receive every thought as a blessing? What if you could see every mental image, every idea, every notion that floats through your consciousness as a sacred communication from the source of all creation? Your life would become an ongoing conversation with the infinite. You would begin to understand that you are never alone, never without guidance, never without direction. Now, I'm not suggesting that you act on every thought that comes into your mind. That would be chaos. That would be madness. What I'm suggesting is that you pay attention, that you notice, that you become aware of the quality of your thinking, and that you recognize that you have the power to choose which thoughts you give energy to and which ones you simply let pass by like clouds in the sky. This is the great secret that changes everything. You have the ability to select your thoughts. You are not a victim of your thinking. You are not at the mercy of random mental activity. You are a powerful, creative being who can consciously choose which thoughts to nurture and which ones to release. And this choice, this simple but profound choice, determines the entire quality of your life. When a negative thought enters your mind, a thought of fear or worry or limitation, you don't have to grab onto it. You don't have to make it real. You can simply notice it and say, thank you for that information, but I'm going to choose a different thought now. And in that moment, in that instant of conscious choice, you reclaim your power. You step into your role as a co-creator with the divine. Because here's what's really happening. The source, the universal mind, God, whatever name you want to give to that infinite intelligence, is constantly broadcasting thoughts to you. It's like a radio station that never goes off the air. And these thoughts are always loving, they're always supportive, they're always guiding you toward your highest good. But you have to tune in. You have to adjust your receiver. You have to quiet the noise of your ego mind so you can hear the still, small voice that's always speaking to you. And how do you do that? How do you tune in to this divine frequency? You do it by becoming present, by being here, now, in this moment. Not lost in the past, not worried about the future, but fully alive and aware right now, because the divine can only reach you in the present moment. That's where the miracles happen. That's where the magic is. That's where the thoughts of God can penetrate your awareness and transform your life. So many people spend their entire lives living in their heads, lost in thought, replaying the past, rehearsing the future, and they miss the incredible gift of the present moment. They miss the sunset happening right now. They miss the smile on their child's face. They miss the feeling of air filling their lungs. They miss the divine presence that's always here, always available, always waiting to be recognized. When you learn to be present, something remarkable happens. The quality of your thoughts begins to change. Instead of fearful, anxious, worried thoughts, you start receiving thoughts of peace, joy, love, and inspiration. Instead of thoughts that make you feel small and limited, you start receiving thoughts that expand your awareness and remind you of your infinite nature. Instead of thoughts that separate you from others, you start receiving thoughts that connect you to all of life. This is not fantasy. This is not wishful thinking. This is the actual mechanics of how consciousness works. Your state of being determines the thoughts you receive. When you're in a state of fear, you attract fearful thoughts. When you're in a state of love, you attract loving thoughts. When you're in a state of gratitude, you attract thoughts that give you more to be grateful for. It's a perfect system, always responding to your vibration, always matching your frequency. And here's the beautiful part. You get to choose your state of being. You get to decide how you're going to feel right now. Not based on external circumstances, not based on what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow, but based on a conscious choice you make in this moment. You can choose to feel peaceful. You can choose to feel grateful. You can choose to feel loving. And when you make that choice, when you shift your state, the thoughts that come to you will shift as well. This is why the great spiritual teachers throughout history have all said the same thing in different ways. Change your thinking, change your life. As you think, so shall you be. What you think about expands. These aren't just pretty sayings. These are laws of consciousness. These are principles that govern how reality works. And when you understand them and apply them, you become a master of your own experience. But let me be clear about something. This isn't about positive thinking in the shallow sense. This isn't about pretending that problems don't exist or putting on a fake smile when you're hurting inside. This is about understanding that you are not your circumstances. You are not your problems. You are not your past. You are the eternal awareness that witnesses all of these things, and that awareness is connected to the infinite source of all creation. When God gives you a thought, it's often a thought that challenges your current beliefs. It's a thought that invites you to see yourself differently, to see your situation differently, to recognize possibilities you couldn't see before. And this is why so many people resist these divine thoughts. Because they contradict the story they've been telling themselves about who they are and what's possible for them. You have a story about yourself. Everyone does. It's a story about your limitations, your failures, your wounds, your inadequacies. And you've been telling yourself this story for so long that you believe it's true. You believe it's reality. But it's not. It's just a story. It's just a collection of thoughts that you've rehearsed so many times that they feel real. And every time a divine thought comes along that contradicts this story, your ego jumps up and says, no, that can't be true. That's not who I am. But what if it is who you are? What if the thought that just came to you, the one that says you're capable of so much more than you've been expressing, what if that's the true thought? What if the divine is trying to remind you of your magnificent nature, and you keep rejecting it because it doesn't match your small self-concept? This is the tragedy of human life. We have access to infinite intelligence, infinite creativity, infinite love, but we settle for the tiny thoughts of our limited ego mind. We accept poverty when abundance is our birthright. We accept sickness when health is our natural state. We accept loneliness when we are eternally connected to all of life. And we do this because we've forgotten who we really are. You are not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the thoughts that come from your true self, from your soul, from your connection to the divine, these thoughts always remind you of this truth. They always point you toward your higher nature. They always encourage you to express more love, more kindness, more creativity, more joy. But you have to be willing to receive them. You have to be willing to entertain thoughts that are bigger than your current reality. You have to be willing to think thoughts that make your ego uncomfortable. Because growth always happens at the edge of your comfort zone. Transformation always requires you to let go of who you've been so you can become who you're meant to be. And this is where faith comes in. Not blind faith. Not belief without evidence. But faith in the sense of trusting that the thoughts that inspire you, that uplift you, that call you towards something greater, these thoughts are coming from a source that knows more than your limited human mind knows. These thoughts are invitations from the infinite to expand, to evolve, to express more of your divine nature in physical form. When you have an idea to call someone and you don't know why, that's God giving you a thought. When you suddenly feel inspired to take a different route to work, that's God giving you a thought. When a solution to a problem pops into your mind out of nowhere, that's God giving you a thought. When you feel moved to be kind to a stranger, that's God giving you a thought. These aren't random occurrences. These are moments of divine communication. And when you learn to recognize them and act on them, your life becomes a series of miracles. But most people ignore these thoughts. They dismiss them as coincidence or imagination or wishful thinking. And in doing so, they cut themselves off from the guidance that's always available to them. They try to figure everything out with their logical mind, with their intellect, and they wonder why life feels so hard, why they feel so alone, why they can't seem to make progress toward their dreams. The intellect is a wonderful tool, but it's a terrible master. Your thinking mind can analyze and calculate and plan, but it can't access the wisdom of the infinite. It can't see the bigger picture. It can't know what's around the corner. Only your connection to the divine source can provide that kind of knowing. And that knowing comes through as intuition, as inspiration, as thoughts that seem to arrive fully formed, without effort, without struggle. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas, your most creative insights, never come when you're trying hard to figure something out? They come when you're relaxed, when you're in the shower, when you're taking a walk, when you're just about to fall asleep. They come when your thinking mind is quiet and your connection to source is open. This is not an accident. This is how the system works. When you stop trying to control everything with your ego mind, when you surrender and allow, the divine thoughts can flow through you. This is what every great artist, every great inventor, every great spiritual teacher has discovered. They learn to get out of their own way. They learn to become a channel for something greater than their personal self. And you can do the same. You can learn to receive divine thoughts and allow them to work through you to create beauty, to solve problems, to heal, to inspire, to love. But you have to make the decision. You have to choose to see yourself differently. You have to choose to recognize that you are not separate from the source of all creation. You are an expression of it. You are a unique, individualized manifestation of the infinite. And every thought that comes from that place, from that awareness, has the power to transform not only your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. This is your purpose. This is why you're here. Not to struggle and suffer and barely survive, but to be a conduit for divine love and wisdom and creativity. To take the thoughts that God gives you and bring them into form in the physical world. To be a co-creator with the universe. To participate consciously in the evolution of consciousness itself. And it starts with such a simple thing. It starts with paying attention to your thoughts, with noticing where they come from, with recognizing that you have a choice about which ones you energize and which ones you let go, with understanding that every moment is an opportunity to align yourself with the divine or to separate yourself from it. And that choice is always yours. No one can make this choice for you. No guru, no teacher, no book can do this work for you. You have to take responsibility for your own consciousness. You have to become aware of the content of your mind. You have to notice when you're thinking thoughts of fear and limitation and consciously choose to shift to thoughts of love and possibility. This is the spiritual practice. This is the work. And it's the most important work you'll ever do. Because everything in your life flows from your thoughts, your relationships, your health, your finances, your happiness. All of it is a reflection of your habitual patterns of thinking. If you want to change your life, you have to change your thoughts. And if you want to change your thoughts, you have to recognize that you are not at the mercy of random mental activity. You are a powerful creator who can choose which thoughts to accept and which ones to reject. When God gives you a thought of abundance, don't argue with it by thinking about your current bank balance. When God gives you a thought of health, don't contradict it by focusing on your symptoms. When God gives you a thought of love, don't block it by rehearsing past hurts. Receive the divine thought. Honor it. Give thanks for it. And then act as if it's already true. Because in the realm of consciousness, in the realm of spirit, it is already true. It's only your ego mind that insists on evidence from the physical world before it will believe. But creation doesn't work that way. First comes the thought, then comes the manifestation. First comes the vision, then comes the form. First comes the belief, then comes the experience. You have to see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hand. This is the law. This is how things come into being. And when you understand this, when you really get it, you become unstoppable. You stop waiting for circumstances to change before you allow yourself to feel good. You stop waiting for other people to approve of you before you approve of yourself. You stop waiting for permission from the world to live the life you came here to live. You simply start receiving the thoughts that God is giving you and acting on them with faith and courage. And yes, there will be fear. Your ego will protest. It will tell you that you're being unrealistic, that you're setting yourself up for disappointment, that you should play it safe and stick with what you know. But that voice of fear is not your true voice. It's not the voice of your soul. It's the voice of your conditioning, your programming, the accumulated beliefs and opinions you've absorbed from others over the course of your life. Your true voice, the voice of your higher self, the voice of God speaking through you, that voice always encourages you. It always supports you. It always reminds you that you are loved, that you are guided, that you are capable of far more than you can currently see. And the more you listen to that voice, the more you align with that frequency, the more your life begins to reflect the divine perfection that has always been your true nature. This is not about becoming something you're not. This is about remembering what you've always been. You are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to earn your worth or prove your value. You are already worthy. You are already valuable. You are already a perfect expression of the divine, exactly as you are right now. The only thing that's needed is for you to recognize this truth and live from it. And the way you do that is by becoming conscious of your thoughts, by noticing when you're thinking thoughts that diminish you and choosing to think thoughts that empower you instead, by recognizing when you're operating from fear and consciously shifting to love, by understanding that every moment is a new beginning, a fresh opportunity to align yourself with the infinite source of all good. You don't have to be perfect at this. You don't have to get it right every single time. This is a practice, not a performance. Some days you'll remember, and some days you'll forget. Some moments you'll be aligned, and some moments you'll be caught up in the drama of the ego mind. And that's okay. What matters is that you keep coming back, that you keep choosing, that you keep reaching for the highest thought available to you in any given moment. Because here's the truth that will set you free. You are not judged by the divine. You are not condemned for your mistakes. You are not punished for your failures. The source of all creation has no interest in making you wrong. It has only one desire, and that is to express itself as you, through you, in the unique and beautiful way that only you can express it. Every time you think a loving thought, you allow more of the divine to flow through you. Every time you choose peace over conflict, you become a channel for healing in the world. Every time you act from inspiration rather than obligation, you honor the sacred contract you made when you agreed to take on human form. And every time you recognize that a thought has been given to you by God, you open yourself to the infinite guidance that is your birthright. This is what it means to live a spiritual life, not to escape from the world, not to deny the challenges of human existence, but to bring the awareness of the divine into every aspect of your daily experience, to see the sacred in the ordinary, to recognize the miracle in the mundane, to understand that there is no separation between the spiritual and the material, between the holy and the everyday. When you wash the dishes, that can be a spiritual practice if you do it with awareness. When you talk to your neighbor, that can be a sacred interaction if you see the divine in them. When you go to work, that can be an act of worship if you bring your full presence and creativity to what you do. Everything becomes spiritual when you infuse it with consciousness, when you show up fully, when you allow the divine thoughts to guide your words and actions. This is the invitation that's being extended to you right now. Not someday in the future when you've got everything figured out, but now, in this moment, exactly as you are. The divine is giving you thoughts of possibility, of potential, of transformation, and all you have to do is receive them. All you have to do is say yes. All you have to do is trust that the intelligence that creates galaxies and seasons and the perfect timing of everything in nature, that same intelligence is working in your life right now, guiding you, supporting you, loving you unconditionally. You are so much more than you think you are. Your potential is so much greater than you can currently imagine. The life that's waiting for you is so much more magnificent than the one you've been settling for. And it all begins with a simple shift in awareness. A recognition that you are not alone, that you are not left to figure everything out on your own, that you have access to infinite wisdom and guidance through the thoughts that flow into your consciousness every moment of every day. So pay attention. Notice what you're thinking. Become aware of the quality of your mental activity. And when you catch yourself thinking thoughts that make you feel bad, thoughts that limit you, thoughts that separate you from others, gently shift your attention to thoughts that feel better, that expand you, that connect you to all of life. This is the practice. This is how you transform your life from the inside out. And as you do this, as you become more conscious, more aware, more aligned with the divine flow of thoughts, you will begin to notice something remarkable. You will begin to see that you are not the doer of your life. You are the observer. The divine is the doer. The source is the actor. You are simply the instrument through which the infinite expresses itself in physical form. And when you truly understand this, when you surrender to this truth, all effort ceases. All struggle ends. Life becomes effortless, joyful, filled with grace. This doesn't mean you stop taking action. It means your action comes from a different place. Instead of pushing and forcing and trying to make things happen through willpower, you allow yourself to be moved by inspiration. You act when you feel called to act. You rest when you feel guided to rest. You trust the divine timing of everything, and you discover that life supports you in ways you never could have orchestrated with your limited human mind. Miracles become normal. Synchronicities become commonplace. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. People appear at exactly the right moment with exactly what you need. Resources flow to you effortlessly. And you realize that this is how life was always meant to be. This is your natural state. This is what happens when you align yourself with the divine flow and allow the thoughts of God to guide your way. So I invite you now, in this moment, to make a new commitment to yourself. A commitment to pay attention to your thoughts. A commitment to receive the divine guidance that is always available to you. A commitment to trust that you are never alone, never without support, never without direction. The source of all creation is giving you thoughts right now. Thoughts of love, thoughts of possibility, thoughts of your magnificent potential. Will you receive them? Will you honor them? Will you allow them to transform your life? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. And in every moment you get to choose again. Choose the highest thought. Choose the most loving thought. Choose the thought that reminds you of who you really are. And watch as your entire world begins to shift, to change, to reflect back to you the divine perfection that you have finally allowed yourself to see. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The beginning of a new way of living, a new way of being, a new relationship with the divine source that is always speaking to you through your thoughts. Listen carefully, pay attention, and trust that every thought that uplifts you, inspires you, encourages you, that thought is a gift from God, meant specifically for you, to guide you home to the truth of who you are. You are loved. You are supported. You are never alone. And the thoughts that remind you of this are flowing to you right now and in every moment of your existence. Receive them with gratitude and let them transform your life.